Hi, this is Sue with Irreversibly Moi, and today we're talking to Tracy Groman, the Fit Intuitive. So, Tracy, why don't you tell us a little bit about you?
Well, thank you so much for the intro, and I'm really excited to be here, and I'm excited to be speaking to the community and all of that. The Fit Intuitive was a very funny name that actually my husband came up with. My husband and I are high school sweethearts, and I've been an intuitive all my life. I mean, all my life. And we started laughing because he named me the human lie detector because, well, it's a gift, I guess. But a while back, let's see, I have three boys. They're 13, 11, and 8. And when my middle son was 1, I weighed 220 pounds. And I really couldn't get around. I was just unhealthy. Just didn't feel good. The biggest part was I couldn't play with my kids the way I wanted to play with them. So I embarked on I would say my very first transformation, which was health and fitness. I've always loved helping people. I've always loved helping people move through blocks to really take themselves to the next level, to empower themselves. And I found that as I was on my fitness and just my health transformation, I started teaching fitness classes, I started personal training, I started getting clients that way. So I was a personal trainer and a group exercise instructor for about 10 years. So fitness is now a big part of my life, and nutrition and whatnot. So hence the fit part. That has stuck. It's become a lifestyle change, and it's exciting. About 5.5 years ago, my father passed away suddenly of a heart attack, and I was the one that found him. And what happened then is it sent me on my intuitive journey. Now, I had said I've been intuitive all my life, and I have. But when I say that, I did things that I thought everybody knew. I thought everyone could do. I thought everyone could read energy. I thought everyone could sense when things were going to happen. It was so much a part of my being because it is a part of who I am that I just figured everyone could do it. And when people would look at me like I had three eyes, wouldn't understand. So what happened is a lot of different things from childhood experiences caused me to shut down certain gifts. Specifically, when my grandfather came to me for the first time when I was 5 and delivered a prophecy that came to pass, I decided that I didn't want to see. I didn't want people showing up in my bedroom. I didn't want that. It didn't matter if I knew them or not. That was a no-go zone. And so what happened is I shut my clairvoyance down, but I was still able to read things very easily. And so when my father passed away, everything, it was like the floodgates came back open. Just everything, whoosh, came open. And I knew that it was time for me to embark on my own intuitive mindfulness and spiritual journey in order to also help people on theirs. And it's all about empowerment. So what I discovered is that I like to dub it as the fit life. And when when we start mastering the areas of the fit life, we really get freedom. We attain freedom, and we open ourselves to empowerment. So when we, start mastering those areas of fitness and start mastering those areas of nutrition and putting healthy foods into our body and start mastering the areas of mindfulness and understanding, start mastering the areas of tapping into our own intuition and our inner wisdom, and then understanding and mastering the spiritual part of ourselves. Not necessarily the religious aspect, because me, in my personal opinion, it's something so different. I believe that religion is a great springboard or platform to introduce you to your own spirituality. But when I talk about spirituality, I do talk about our direct connection to source and how we really can enhance that. And when we start taking all of those areas and we start putting them together and they start folding into themselves, we really attain that freedom that we're looking for. That freedom to remove ourselves from judgment and from judging other people. And there's so many layers to it. And part of my intuitive journey was removing the layers myself so that I can understand how to help teach people to remove the layers themselves.
That's
And
awesome.
so,
What an
yeah,
incredible story.
thank you, thank you. It's funny because and I'm sure that your experience is too. As you trudge through the journey, you're just taking one step at a time. now that I look back at all these transformations that have taken place, and I see why it's happened. I see the need, to take care of the body, take care of the vehicle, so that you can house higher energy into it. And, not only understand yourself and be able to listen to your inner wisdom and take the appropriate action steps that you need to take that lead you to your purpose, living a purpose-filled life, whatever that is, but you start to understand other people. So, you become unoffendable. You start losing lack of judgment. You start gaining a whole lot more compassion, even for the things that are happening in life that sometimes make you or want to creep hopelessness into it. You start understanding that there's a better, there is a greater purpose and there is a greater plan, and we start letting go to that.
So who do you work with? Well, who is your typical client?
My typical client is really anybody who, I was just at a seminar speaking a few weeks ago, and my typical clients are the people usually, and it's not limited to this, but it's between the ages of about 35 to maybe about 50. They've gone through life changes. Maybe it's a job. Maybe it's something that I experienced, finding my father passed away on the floor, that it just basically rocks your world, and it makes you rethink your priorities. I had said to this group that I was speaking with that it's almost the people that you might phrase are going through a midlife crisis. But what's happening is it's a matter of helping them understand the energetic blocks, because I do see energy and I understand how past events, not only in this life, but I am a believer of reincarnation. So how other lives have affected all of the decision, all of the way we move, the way we interact, what triggers us to react in anger or fear and judgment or control and all of that. But our midlife crises it's our inner wisdom really coming to the surface. It's wanting to come out. And basically, in order for it to come out, we have to remove the layers of, I call it energetic goo.
Sure.
We do. In order to tap into that wisdom, we have to remove the layers of gunk. And you see it right now happening a lot. And what's happening is it's even spinning into the younger generations. And it's because the younger generations that are coming in are so sensitive, and they've actually come in on a totally different ray. So they really know love in a whole lot more of a deeper and more fulfilled way than we do as older souls. And so I see also a lot of turmoil happening with that. But the people are having these major shifts in their lives, but they're applying the old rules it's a new game, but they're applying their old rules. And so what's happening is you see the hamster wheels just spinning and spinning and spinning and spinning, and basically you just are unfulfilled. And so so people in that mindset keep on looking outside of themselves. Well, basically when they finally, I trust that my guides are going to link me with the people that need my help.
Sure.
Because part of what I started seeing happening is that not only are people having, and I've been through it, so I understand it, the internal strife, but that internal strife also causes us to start attracting outside energetic entities to us.
Not necessarily good ones.
No, not good ones.
Right.
And it's not that, and that's the thing, is it's not that it's good or bad, it's supporting a thought. So if we have a thought of a repetitive thought, it's kind of like a groove in a record of doubt. And we have it so much, and we're thinking we're doubtful thoughts. We're doubting that something good is going to happen to us, doubting this, doubting that. What happens is it's an open invitation. We start cutting holes in our energy field, our auric field, and we start leaking our own life force energy out. But through these feelings, we start unknowingly attracting these outside. Basically, I refer to them as energetic parasites, because I do believe that it's a parasitic host relationship. And what happens is it's almost like a chicken or the egg thing, where we unknowingly call it to us, it veils over our clarity, and so then the downward spiral happens until the soul pushes forward and says enough.
So
Something.
how do you work with people? What do you do for them and help them get rid of these energy parasites?
Well, it's part of it is understanding that there is a creation, that thought creation is what attracted them in the first place. So part of it is, as people that are willing to change are also willing to take responsibility for their feelings and their actions. And so many of us equate responsibility with fault, and that's not. As I help my clients understand that it's not by fault that this happened, it just is what it is. So they are making a conscious decision to basically slice through, saying no more, it's time for a change. What happens when that is done is they do agree to cut all contracts and agreements. The thing of it is a belief is just an energetic agreement. And as they consciously make the decision to disengage and slice that contract, we start moving through all dimensions. So we start moving through the past, the present, and the future realms. As those contracts are broken, then that energy can be released. What then happens is we then go through I like to refer to as energetic excavating or soul roto-rooter, to start moving that energy out. And what happens is as that energy gets moved out and understood, because part of every experience is the bright spot for healing and understanding. And it's healing and understanding ourselves, it's healing and understanding our loved ones, it's healing and understanding the world around us, so that you can step into not only your own creativity, your own personal power, your own purpose, but then you understand that everybody else has the freedom to do the same, and that there are some people, we're all on a journey, and I feel that if we have the capability to, in a balanced fashion, look back and help another person that is ready to step onto the path, because we're all on the path, we are. Even when we're ignorant, we're still all on the path. It just so happens that when we have an experience that sets us to that next level of wanting to know more, when my father passed away, I had to, even though I kind of knew, because I had that experience with my grandfather, I had experience with other beings coming to visit. When my dad passed away, I mean, he was such a huge person in my life. I had to know. I had to know on the veil what lie beyond this physical realm, and honestly, why the hell are we here? I want to know.
Do you mainly work with people in person, or do you also do distance coaching?
Everything I do is by distance.
Okay.
Because, and not that I don't meet with people personally, what I have found is that because we're all energy, that the intent, the thought, the desire, I link in. As soon as I come on video, as soon as I link in on the phone, honestly, I'm not nosy like that, but all I have to do is think about the person, and I know what's going on. Which the thing of it is I believe that it's always, I'm not that nosy. I'm really not. So people are like, oh, well, what is she? Nosy? No, I'm not that nosy. But I'll give you an example. I was at the airport a few weeks back, and there was this gentleman, and I'm going to be honest with you. I was in the line minding my own business, and he was just like annoying chatterbox, like annoying chatterbox. And I'm human, so there are going to be times where, something might get under my skin. And so I always take a breath. I take a step back because I am more self-aware of my own thoughts, and I realized I was judging this person for being annoying and chattery. And so I did. I asked my guides what was going on. And basically what happens is they just gave me a quick layout of who they are, what their fears are, what their insecurities are. And what I found out about him is that he's the youngest son, and he's successful in his own right, but he still feels like he's in the shadow of his big brother. So he always feels like he has to talk and talk and talk so that he can get people to like him.
Wow. So it probably just reframed that whole experience for you.
It does. And see, and that's the part of the gift of this journey. And so when my clients do go on, because it is a quest, it's a spiritual quest. It's a quest to own your personal power. You're a badass. And I was raised, my father was a Teamster official. So it's one of those things, like sometimes little swear words will just pop out of my mouth. But it is what it is.
Yep, I'm the same way. No offense.
Yeah.
That's just who I
And
am.
so what I started talking about when I started moving through this, because some people hear the word spirituality and they get a little afraid, and I understand why. Um, I started talking about owning your badassery, owning your badass empowerment, really just being able to step into who you are, not in a power-filled, I want to control you, I want to control the situation way, but stepping in with a, this is me, and I'm okay with me, and not everyone is going to like my message, and that's okay too.
Well, the
So,
tagline for Irreversibly Moi for our site is I can't change me, so I'll embrace me. And I think that really fits very well with what you're saying and how you approach things.
yeah, absolutely. And so, I started over the phone because honestly, it is so personal, and it gives them the connection with being able to be comfortable in their own space. And if they wanted to cry, they knew they could. And they knew that I would support it, and because I can support it. But they were comfortable. They weren't feeling like they were on the spot. They weren't feeling like they couldn't express themselves or show their emotion. And I think that it allowed me to become even a little bit more connected, which is kind of funny because you think, oh, distance, oh, this, oh, it can't be so personal. It can't be. But this work is so personal. It is.
So
So, go ahead. Sorry.
you mentioned that you decided to um, accept your gifts again after your father passed. So how long have you been working with clients in this realm and helping them, not just with the fitness, but with the energies?
I moved away from fitness. It's funny because there are some times where you don't necessarily want to step into your personal power, but your higher self does. And, it's one of those, I do believe, because of course I believe in God. I actually believe in God way more now, and know God way more now than I ever have. And it wasn't until about 2 years after my father passed away that I suffered an illness that really nearly killed me. And it was because I would not move out of my fitness realm. Like I was so comfy. I was so comfy in my fitness realm. Without sounding conceited or flamboyant, I'm good at teaching. I am. But I was really good at classes because I'm an introvert. So I was able to put on my alter ego on the stage, and I was able to connect with my personal training clients, personally, and then I could go home. And I didn't have to think about anything else. I was in my little box. It was great. And I ended up getting really sick. And part of it was because I needed to really move into this next space. So about 3.5 years ago, I started going down to a school in Atlanta that is a spiritual studies school, and moved into really understanding myself so that I can move in to start working with clients. So I've been working with clients for professionally about 2.5 years. I mean, the funny part is I look back at what I'm doing now. I look at what I'm doing now, and I look back over my entire life and realize I've always been doing it.
Right.
I've always been doing it. And there are sometimes, the good part about now is I think I'm a little bit more refined in my delivery of things, versus,
Age comes wisdom.
well, the funny part is because I have three very, very psychic children. My husband is intuitive as well. So it's nothing for our family to, my dad walks around the house and comes and visits on a regular basis. My son can see him. I can see him. My middle son is an animal communicator, so he can see the dogs. My oldest son, it reads energy like nobody's business, and he finally last night at 13 admitted that, this is a gift that he has, and yes, he understands he has it. But the thing of it is I then, when you are familiar with something, you kind of forget that not everybody else is.
Right. Right.
And so, it, and I'm still learning, and Spirit always gives me the opportunity to learn more, present more, so I don't blurt out like, oh, well, you have an attachment, and the person's like, oh, what?
Right.
They're
Right.
an exorcist, and here's me. I'm like, no, 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 we're good. You're all right. Like, a decision, you can get rid of it. You know, um,
Would you consider yourself a creative person? Do you do any creative pursuits, whether written journaling, art journaling, or any creative hobbies or?
The funny part is I think that all of us are creative. I think that all of us are creative beings, and as you get on this journey, as you really embrace the journey, you become even more creative. I love interior decorating. I absolutely love it. It's one of my favorite things to do. You wouldn't tell by this room, but it's kind of one of those things that I don't know, pieces of it are falling together bit by bit.
Sure.
Um, but I love interior decorating, especially with paint. Um, but quite honestly, I'm the person that gets the vision and then I find somebody that can do it. So, like I have a friend that does faux finishing and she's an absolutely beautiful faux finisher. But I come up with the ideas in my head and I call her over and I say, okay, wouldn't it be cool if we did this and this and this? Like I put glitter on one of the walls,
Uh,
and, I had one of the walls with like stucco and she took a comb and did like all these circles and swirls in it. And then she did an overlay, and so it's like a brown color, but there's glitter in it, and it
uh,
turned out really cool.
I'm sure
Um,
it did.
it's one of those things that I wait for the inspiration. Like I'll sit in a room that's empty, and I'll like walk in and out and walk in and out and in and out. Um, but I find that, and when I'm inspired, I have a chalk notebook that I just draw in and I do it with my youngest son because I think it's fun. And quite honestly, it lets my kids know that as an adult, it's okay to still be silly and childlike and playful and creative.
Mhm.
Um,
I still play with Play-Doh, and when my college student is home from school, you wouldn't be surprised when we pull out the Legos.
yeah,
I think that the practice of play is so important, and as adults, we often forget that it's okay to play and it's okay to reach that inner child. I have a question.
yeah.
So, what advice would you have for our community? Uh, Most of the folks that come to Irreversibly Moi, they're either art journalers or they're attracted to art and art journaling. And many times they're stuck. Either they get a creative block or they have maybe some emotional issue or decision to make. And art journaling can help them work that out. So, what advice would you give them on dealing with the issues or breaking through on their creativity?
One of the best ways that I have found blocks on creativity is to go and help somebody else. Whether it be sitting and talking with people, because typically what happens is when we can't figure out the answer ourselves, it is quite useful to sit in the presence of somebody and just talk, because typically that person will present the same block or will present the feeling associated with your block.
Right.
Spirit works in absolutely magnificent and wonderful ways. And there are so many times where we get so scared because maybe, there is maybe we've been pretty free and we've been able to be creative, and then something happens that disrupts that flow. We get scared. We get doubtful that it'll come back. And, oh my gosh, what can I do? You know, I find that going and three things: get outside and go walk around, because typically the trees have fantastic healing powers, and just being in a state of mind where you go into that free flow, the trees and the vegetation will actually pull the veils away just a little bit so that you can, get a little bit of clarity. Find somebody to talk to, because typically that person has the same block that you're actually presenting. And what happens is they will be able to give you, maybe it's not the exact same, but maybe it's rhyming. Maybe they have something going on in their life that is going to rhyme or in some way, shape, or form mirror what's happening in yours. That way you can become more self-aware. The other thing is really just kind of setting it down for a while and moving into something else, because when you journal, you can get stressed out if journaling is your thing. Right. And all of a sudden you don't have it. So honestly, picking up something else completely unrelated, I find that when I do that's when some of my best ideas come. Honestly, when I'm driving, when I'm showering, right. When I'm folding laundry, I swear I need to have a tape recorder when I'm folding laundry, because it's usually when some of my best insights flow in, because I'm not trying to grab onto it. My human mind, my human brain is not trying to grab onto it, and what's happening is I'm allowing my spiritual intuitive mind to kick in. So
right. You're focused on folding towels, and your mind is not consumed with what you need to do. Yeah. So it allows the thoughts to come in. I come up with the best ideas when I'm driving, so yeah. I get that. So tell our community, what kind of offerings do you have? Do you have packages that can help them, or is it one-to-one sessions, or?
I do. Typically, because I love working with everybody that is ready for help. I have single sessions where I refer to it as the Power Posse session. And what I do is a 60-minute reading and then a half-hour planning session. Because I found that one of the biggest gaps in the industry was the fact that you get a reading and you get all this information, and basically your head is swirling, and what do you do with it afterwards? And when I had people come to me in my very early days when I started giving readings, and they'd be like, okay, so how long do I have to wait to come back? See, my goal is to get you up on your feet, so that if you have insight, don't get me wrong, I love, and to this day, I still go get readings once a year from one of my favorite psychics, because I too have my own blocks. Mm-hmm. There are things that I want, and I want it so badly that I can't see it clearly. But for people is to basically give them their wings to fly. I don't want people relying on me for their connection. I want to help them build their own. Okay. So I do single sessions, and the reason why I put it into the Power Posse mode was because I wanted to at least give an action plan. Maybe they won't come back for a full package, maybe they won't come back for a full program, but at least there was something built, some sort of action step built to help you fly.
And then from there you have larger packages and programs?
Yeah, and so from there I have 3-session packages. Typically when somebody does present with an energetic parasite, as I like to refer to them as, it's never a one and done. And the reason why that is there's a certain amount of spiritual strength that needs to be built up. And I'm not talking about, again, that religion, spirituality, there's a distinction. When I talk about spiritual strength, I talk about that personal power, that empowerment. And so in my eyes, in my view, that there needs to be that build up, because what happens is if you just remove it and you don't help fill the gaps and you don't help bring illumination to the lower level energy and transmute it, you just attract more. And what that happens is then you have a definite down spiral. It's like when you drop the coin into the swirly thing and it just goes down, 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 down.
So having a package of sessions allows you to build on what you've done in each and build up that spiritual strength to push away those parasites. Well, that's awesome. Do you have anything new that will be coming out, or any new offerings we should look for?
Well, I'm going to be launching a program in February 2015, and it's going to be a 12-week program called Resolution 180. And it's going to be a program where we are going to also not only help lift those illusions away so that people understand what exactly the gifts that they do have. We focus so much on the stuff that we don't think we have, and we don't see what we actually do have.
Oh,
And so
that's
what
great.
happens is we start busting through the illusions. We start going through chakra by chakra and doing past life regression and past regression so that we can start taking energy out. We are going to, we will go through soul fragmentation, strongholds, attachments, curses, bindings, because there's all of that. A lot of us get very scared by that concept, but the simple fact is it's there. And so what we'll do in this 12-week program is go through, remove all of that, step into the 13th chakra where our heart is. That's where our divinity lies. And so people will tap into that so that they really understand. And with each week, they build even more personal power so that by the end of that 12 weeks, there's really such a huge transformation will take place.
Oh, I'm sure.
And
I'm
so,
sure.
the thing of it is now is the time, if you look in the Native American cycles, now is the time for death. Now is the time to let go of things that no longer serve you, which includes opinions and illusions that we have about ourselves. The springtime is the perfect time of rebirth and unveiling and beginning anew. And so I thought that having this 12-week program launch in February would be fantastic because by the time the end of that 12 weeks comes, we are right in spring and you are birthing a new version of yourself.
Sure.
So I am actually going to, for your readers and for the people in your community, I am going to be offering $100 off.
Oh, that's great. Thank you
Anyone
so much.
wants to become part of that because I am going to be doing a version of videos called Ditch Your Demons, and we're going to go over things, things that get in our way, overwhelm and perfectionism and control, and those are going to be the videos that are going to precursor to the launch of this program. But I'm super excited about it because, the thing of it is it's going to be a group mentoring program because we all learn from one another. Not
Sure.
only will I share all the information that I've gained over the last, oh my gosh, it's been like a 5 sprint / marathon all at the same time. But it's such great things have happened in transformation. So not only am I going to share that, but what happens is we're going to have a private online community where everybody will be able to share with one another. And
That's true.
as everyone taps into their own intuitive gifts and starts learning how to trust and listen to their inner wisdom, like I said, just beautiful things start happening. You start owning your badassery. You start becoming
That's
empowered.
awesome. Well,
And
for
getting rid
our
of the
readers and for our community, we will on both our site when this video is live and on the resources page have a list of where you can find Tracy, links to her website, where you can find her on social media, and we'll have some info about her current offerings and this exciting program that's starting in February. Before I let you go, we want to find out some fun things about you.
Okay.
I'm going to give you some rapid fire questions, okay?
Okay. I can't
All
wait.
right. Okay. First one, coffee or tea?
Oh, you know what? Coffee most days and tea when I'm sick.
Okay. Fair enough. What book are you currently reading?
Actually, it's funny because I get hung up in book series. I get hung up. Like I literally go down, I dive down and don't come up for days. So I actually last year swore off of any book series so that I could actually focus on my spiritual studies. So right now I'm actually reading a book about manifesting called Get Rich Lucky Bitch. And I can't remember the author's name, but that's what I'm reading right now. And last night I just downloaded a book on Kundalini energy because I'm actually moving into that realm, into helping people understand the awakening of the Kundalini energy.
Okay, I'm not familiar with that. Maybe the next time we talk, you can fill in on how that's going. So, okay.
Yeah, definitely.
What is the TV show you can't live without? I seem to have lost you for a second there.
Do you have me back now?
There we go. Okay, the TV
Okay.
show you can't live without.
Modern Family.
Okay, that is a good one.
I
That's
love it. I love the writing. It's so witty.
um, your guilty pleasure.
Ah, my guilty pleasure. Um, you know what? My guilty pleasure is sitting on the couch on like a Friday night with a glass of wine watching girly 80s flicks.
Oh, I love it. I'll come over one Friday.
Or 90s. Yeah, like 10 Things I Hate About You is one of my
Right.
favorite guilty pleasure flicks. And my husband laughs every time because he's like, so did it change this time?
I know. Well, we're in a similar situation. I have only sons as well. So you're in a house full of men too. So we
Oh,
could
yeah.
probably use a girls' night on the couch and watching chick flicks.
Well, especially with all this football, and now football's on what, like most days of the week. And my family doesn't do a lot. We don't do a ton of television watching, but when these like Friday night football games have been on, all of
Oh,
my boys and my husband have been glued on the couch, and I'm like, give me a glass of wine and 10 Things I Hate About You, and I'm good.
I'm there. What is your favorite cheap food?
My favorite chocolate.
Ah,
I'm like, oh, chocolate all day long.
oh, I'm with you. Chocolate is definitely my guilty pleasure, my weakness, and probably a little bit of an addiction.
Well, it is what it is, right?
Right. And what is one thing we probably don't know about you?
Well, I think I said it earlier in the interview, but I am a really big introvert. I am, and so as much as I have to take time, I must. It's an absolute. I have to take time. So many people look at themselves and they categorize themselves as an introvert or an extrovert, and being an introvert and having being a teacher, there is a certain amount of not only confidence building that I had to do, courses, this, that, to step out and be able to hold the energy and not get bombarded, because I think, we're, in total, I think we're all empaths. And so the introverts are really typically have a hard time stepping out. And not only do they have a hard time stepping out, but they're really energy aware, and that can drain you. So number one, I've had to do a lot of work in understanding my own energetic boundaries so that I basically like muscle up when I'm going out. And I do a lot of work exercises that I've taught my kids because it's so important. But I have to take time for myself. I'm an only child as well, so there's so many times that
So
I
much.
do. Yeah, right. So I mean, I do must set aside some time for myself every single day. And for a while, I thought it was really selfish. And then I just figured out that it's just purely self-care. And why isn't everybody else doing it?
It is. And that's something we talk a lot about on Irreversibly Mom. We've had a number of blog posts and our journal exercises about self-love and about self-care and how important it is for your well-being, both spiritually and emotionally and physically even. So,
And I
well,
think
I have absolutely had a pleasure speaking with you and learned so much about you. I know that our community is just going to love hearing all about you, and I'll be sure to include the links there on the
you.
post and on the resources page. And until next time, I bid you farewell and thank you so much for being here.
Oh, thanks, Susan, so much for having me. I really enjoyed it.
Absolutely. Thank you.
All right. Thanks so much. Have a good one.
You too.
Alrighty. Bye-bye.